I want to run a little run a little social experiment here. I want you to describe to me the path you see crypto taking over the next 18 months.
Well, I can't describe necessarily
There's no wrong answers. Just tell me like what you feel. You must have like a mental framework. I feel like everybody in the chat has like a mental framework. Hey, chat, if you have a framework of how you think the next 18 months goes,
I sort of like
drop it in the chat. I kind of want to see like what everybody's thinking right now.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll be honest, I don't actually think like this, but like because I'm thinking long term. I think in 18 months prices will be higher than it is today. And I almost don't care about the path. If you're asking me what I think about the path, I would expect volatility. So, you don't go up in a straight line. And I feel like a 10% correction on NASDAQ is still pretty healthy, and that is common, and that's fine. And you probably would expect larger pullbacks in crypto.
I want you to give me a Bitcoin price. I want you to give me some time frames. Where's Bitcoin in the middle of summer?
I have no idea, but what I do think is that it wouldn't surprise me at all if we're at 50K Bitcoin. That's not even that far down from where we're at now. So, even like high 40s wouldn't surprise me.
When do you think we go up?
I have no idea.
You're ruining my social experiment. I know you have no idea. If you knew, you'd be a trillionaire. You wouldn't be on this damn podcast.
Okay, so I guess you're gauging my level of like bull tardation. I'm
not even your level of bull tardation. I'm gauging like where you think we're going, when you think we're going, like the general path. Like everybody has like a path to kind of feel like the cycle is taking. They have a destination, when we're going to get there, and kind of like where are the bumps in the road along the way going to be.
Okay, so my path is that largely we're up and to the right, meaning like I think prices go higher, but along that up and to the right, there's going to be bumps. And, if that bump comes now, so be it. That's fine. I think if that bump extends from now into June, I would probably be surprised. That seems like too long, but if that happens, then also so be it.
All right. So we got a few people in the chat. Rectum, BTC, 59K, July. Tunsky, shakeout in the next 3 months. Summer crab, autumn up. Tunsky, how low you think we go on Bitcoin? I'm curious. Pause and pump for election in 2025. Bluff it. Yeah. So it's my perception right now that everybody on crypto Twitter actually basically has like the same consensus idea of where the cycle is and where it's going. And also we have like the Discord too, alfalfapod.com if you're not in there. So I have like this kind of window into how everybody's sort of thinking in real time. And it's like interesting, like you get these periods of time where like everybody is like completely out of sync. Like last summer or so, or spring was like a good example. Like there is wild, like where it's going lower, it's going higher. The bull's just getting started. It's starting in a year. People are all over the place, right? But now, what is like a little bit concerning to me is that there is this sort of consensus, not just about like the price and everything, but like also like the timing on everything. Everybody right now thinks that Bitcoin is going to break down from this range. It's going to settle into like the sort of mid 50s and get bought up, and then alts are going to bleed. And then we're going to sort of like V reverse higher. And then like have a pump into the election, and then cycles over next year or something, right? Like that, right? That's worrisome to me because markets never do what everybody's expecting them to do.
You think it's too herd mentality. When you get too many people thinking that same way, that's when it doesn't happen.
There are two things that I think most people are not thinking about right now. and there's like actually some sort of subpass of these things, right? But let's start with Bitcoin, and we'll talk about everything else. Like the one thing everybody's not really ready for right now is that actually that monthly low that we talked about 2 weeks ago that I said like might not actually get broken, actually does hold.
Right.
And then
so 2 weeks ago, you said, as a reminder, you said the low was already put in for the quarter.
yeah, I thought there was a good chance that that monthly low would hold for the quarter, just on the basis of how that monthly chart looked, how the quarterly chart looked on Bitcoin. And then, but there was this divergence between how strong Bitcoin looked with how like alts looked. And, you know, I kind of explained my reasoning for why, for example, on Solana, I thought that weekly low was like very likely to get, or that taken out, and we might potentially even like go down to the last month's low.
And that low on Bitcoin is still intact currently.
It is, yes. So the one low we haven't run here. Let me pull up the corn chart here for everybody. We got some doodles on here. Excuse these doodles. God, I'm so upset with this mouse right now. It's like when you're playing Call of Duty and the aim gets inverted. And you gotta like.
Does that actually happen?
Yeah, man. Like you get that weird friend who plays Halo with like inverted
I hate
aim,
that.
and you just take the controller after him, and you're like, "What is wrong with you?
I hate that.
What is wrong with your brain?" This low here was this Coinbase. So yeah, this is like 59.2K on Coinbase. This is the monthly low. Like if I pop open a monthly chart here, you can see that low is very much intact so far. So one thing a lot of people aren't talking about is the idea that like we just actually just rip up from here. And this is a common thing I see. Like Bitcoin prints these like really precarious structures and everybody thinks we're going to die. Like the most, I guess the most recent one was, just a few months ago, people were very, very bearish in this kind of 40K range that we were in. Like this looked very ugly when we broke down here, right? But I think I was very publicly talking about on this show, like how this is not like really a breakdown. Like this is lower time frame stuff. Like if you pull up a weekly chart, something that matters, like that structure is very much still intact, and we're probably good. And the same thing happened this summer as well. Like we printed quite an ugly. Like look where we were here, right? We had this insane dump in August. Like you remember this thing?
Oh yeah.
This was nasty, man, right? So you see this mega dump and you see this low right here, and you're just like, there's no way that shit's gonna hold. And then it just does, and then we go up. And in retrospect, you look at that and you're like, wow, it just held the low. Of course, why didn't I bid there?
Freaking launched after that.
Launched. But at the time, this was very scary. And I myself was surprised this wasn't taken, because I was actually planning on, tapping some part of this down move here that I thought like, probably there's a good chance that would, be retested and mitigated before we went higher. So like at least like a nasty sweep of that, right? But it didn't really give you that.
Well, you said this, and it stuck with me. One thing you said is that like in a bull market, you don't always get those like clean retraces back into those zones and the 50% level.
Well, that's true once you leave, right? So look at when we leave the zone, what happens, right? You get this. This is classic Bitcoin. You get this mega strong break. You leave this huge daily fair value gap here. We don't even test the gap. Never mind that high, right? So you just had to suck it up and market buy there, or else you were just left behind for a long time. And even this move down to 38K that like people freaked out, like that didn't really, that like barely even tested this consolidation, right? So when this thing is going, it's going and it doesn't let you in. But I was I was caught a little off guard that low held back in the summer, because Bitcoin does like to fake out to the downside. But in retrospect, like this was sort of like the accumulation, and then this ended up being sort of like the manipulation in the entirety of it, right? But I was expecting it to go lower for sure.